I am the Knight. I am Batman.
What is going on out there, all my truckers and soon-to-be truckers? It is your boy, the Baltimore Dark Knight. And today I am going to talk about my process as in getting into the world of truck driving. So it was kind of interesting. So when I got down to the training site, one of the instructors asked me a question. I don't know if he asked anybody else. I'm sure he has. But it was why I wanted to become a truck driver. So for me, it was a little bit personal. It was a lot personal, actually. One, as I said before, it's my exit strategy from the military. So I've been in the military for 30 years. All I know is putting on a uniform, getting up, barking orders, and then I get back in or taking orders. And then I go back and repeat everything again the next day. So after 30 years, I wanted to do something different. I also wanted to do it so I can take care of my family and better their life. Especially with my youngest daughter. She's just becoming a teenager here in a few days, and I want to make sure that her money is right for when it comes time for her to go to college. Again, support my wife. It's a lot of travel and stuff like that, and it's just something different, something exciting. I like those big toys, and it's just fun, at least for me. The other thing is my dad used to drive truck when he used to work at General Motors. He drove it for some of the older department stores, which a lot of you may not know the names of these places: Hochschild Korn, Sears and Roebuck, Montgomery Ward's, those kind of things. He used to drive truck for them, delivery vans and things like that. And for me, it was just another thing was that it was just a childhood dream. Again, I love these big trucks. They're awesome. It's like somebody who's never been in a plane wondering, how do those planes get up in the air like that? Well, for me, it's like, how is something that big so easy to move around and carrying all this cargo and stuff like that? And it's just, it may be intimidating for some people at first because of how big the truck is and how long it is. But once you get in, it's just, for me, it's just fun. So hopefully it's the same thing for those current truckers and those who are thinking about getting into the trucking industry. So that's why I wanted to become a truck driver. Now let's talk about the research, the how did I get into it. So the first thing was, after I realized that this is something that I wanted to do, the first thing was the conversation with my wife, because no matter what I do, it affects her. It affects my children. So it affects her children. So our children come from different relationships, but no matter what I do affects her children, affects my children, affects us as a family. So that's the first conversation. You have to have somebody who is willing to support you, number one, understands that you're going to be away from home for some time, and that you can trust. And I think out of all three of those things, trust is the number one thing. Trust, then support, and then the understanding. Trust, that number one thing. If you don't have that trust, you can't get into the business. If you don't have trust from the person that you're married to or your significant other, you can't get into this business. If you don't have the support, it's going to be hard for you to be in this business. And definitely you got to have that conversation. Because again, everything that you do affects the people that you love. So have that conversation. And once you have that conversation and everybody is agreeing and understanding, hey, this is what it is going to be like, then start doing your research. So my research was into companies like Swift, of course, Schneider, JB Hunt, Roll, all these big name companies. All right, I researched them. I went onto their website, saw what they could offer me. TMC was another company that I reached out to. And when I boiled it down to, was two companies, Swift and Schneider. And the reason why I boiled it down is because, again, I'm a veteran. I needed a company that is a major supporter of the military, and has great benefits for their veterans. So those were the two that I started researching first. Um, and what I boiled it down to was that, one, the Swift facility was going to start sooner than the Schneider company was, and the only reason that is because I had to go on to a benefits site for veterans and pull off some paperwork. And by the time I was going to receive that paperwork, the Swift Academy was already going to start. So I chose Swift because, one, they were starting faster. They were starting sooner. The training was supposed to end sooner, and we'll get into that a little bit. And they had great benefits. And don't get me wrong, Schneider had great benefits too. It was just the main thing that they were starting sooner, and I wanted to get into the training and get it done. By the time I was going to go to Schneider, I would have been halfway done with Swift. So I did all that research, and once I narrowed it down to Swift Driving Academy, I started doing some research on YouTube and other websites. And let me tell you something. The first thing is, you have to do what's right for you and your family. Some of these websites and some of these forums that you go onto, there's a whole bunch of negativity on here. I saw things like Swift is a terrible training facility. I saw people just showing pictures of vehicle accidents and all of this. And you know what? That's in any company. You're going to have some great instructors. You're going to have some terrible ones. You're going to have great drivers, and you're going to have some terrible drivers. You're going to have great mentors, and you're going to have terrible mentors. You're going to have great benefits in one company and not so great in another. Forget all of that. Don't go to any of these YouTube videos with negativity. Don't go to any of these forums where people are just straight bashing companies. Because chances are the people that are bashing the companies are the ones that either failed out, they got fired because they weren't paying attention, or maybe drugs and alcohol or something like that, and now they're taking it out on the company. So forget all that negativity. You got to go on with positive energy and get this done. So once I started looking at these sites, and I started checking out some YouTubers who either used to work for Swift or currently do work for Swift, and I started seeing what they were talking about in their videos, that's when I made up my mind. Yeah, Swift is the one that I'm at least going to start out with. See how it goes. And that's all we ever do when we go in for a new career change. We're looking to see, yes, this is the thing that I really want to do, but then you're trying it out too to see, hey, is this really what I want to do in the long term? So you're trying it out. So once I got done with that, then I contacted a recruiter. And my recruiter was really good. Her name is Cindy. I'm not going to mention her last name simply because I don't have that permission to, but her name was Cindy. And really great recruiter. But here's what I'm going to say about recruiters, and it's just like the military. It's just like any other organization that has recruiters. Recruiters only put out the information that is put out to them. All right. I know for a fact when I got to the schoolhouse, when I got to school, a lot of us were talking about what our recruiters told us. And here's the thing. Everybody that came to the school said the exact same thing. My recruiter said, I'm going to only be here for 3 to 4 weeks. 3 weeks if you have your permit, 4 weeks if you don't have your permit. That was across the board. So is that really a recruiter issue, or is that information being pushed down issue or reality issue? I think it's information being pushed down issue and reality issue. So just so you know, and I'm going to mention this again in another video, when you get to the academy, you're going to do 1 week in the classroom, and then you're going to do 3 weeks. And I'm only speaking for the Richmond facility. You're going to do 1 week in the classroom, 3 weeks on the range. And what I mean by 3 weeks on the range, at a minimum, is you're going to do 1 week where you're going to be learning your straight line and offset. Then you're going to move to a second lane. You're going to continue to do your straight line and offset. And then you're going to learn parallel. Then you're going to get to the third lane, and then you're going to continue honing your skills. And that's where you're going to test that as far as the academy is concerned. Then you're going to do your road testing. So a couple instructors will come and grab you off of that third lane, and you'll do your road testing. Now, that's 4 weeks. Now, depending on how well you do, once you test for your backing and your pre-trips, once you do your driving portion, you do your driving testing and stuff like that, then that's going to dictate when you go to the DMV. So in reality, I'm just going to say you'll be at the Swift terminal for the Richmond facility. Again, I can only speak for that. And for the time that I was there, you'll be there minimum, I would say 5 to 6 weeks. So got a little off track, but I'll mention these things again in another video. But so going back to my recruiter, so once I got back to started talking to my recruiter, and she started filling me in on things and how it would be, and what benefits that I had, and in another video I'll talk about the military apprenticeship program. I'll talk about if you're a veteran or you're a spouse or child of a veteran, how that works for you. That's some more information I need to get as far as the child part. Then once I found out all that information, and she answered a whole bunch of questions for me, then it was, hey, give me a couple days, let me think about it, and I'll get back with you. So after I, had that conversation with my family, went back, everything was good to go. I called Cindy back and I was like, yes, let's do this. I'm very interested in getting it done. So the next process was, she gave me a website to go to download the PA CDL manual. And she also gave me, she gave me the website to go and download the PA CDL manual. So once I did that, I started looking through the PA CDL manual. And then I'm more of a interactive person. I'm not really a reader. I've got a hands-on. So I started researching what are the best ways to prepare to take my CDL permit exam or test. So went on some forums, and I found an app that is available for iPhone and Android-based and Windows-based phones. It's called CDL Prep, and it is a white squared application with a red and white background and red and white letters. CDL Prep is one of the best apps out there to prepare yourself to take the CDL permit tests. And there's 3 tests that you have to take at a minimum. You have to take your general knowledge, you have to take your combination, and you have to take your air brakes. All right. Now, on all 3 of those, you only have to get 80%. Now, I can only speak for the PA or the PennDOT DMVs. Once you hit your 80% correct on those exams, it stops. Automatically stops. You automatically pass. No need to go any further. And then you go back to the test proctor and you do all your paperwork, and now you have your CDL permit. Now, prior to you going to get your permit, this is something that you're going to need. You're going to have a DOT physical, Department of Transportation physical. Your recruiter is going to send you, at least mine did, sent me a link. And what she told me was, hey, go to this link, pull down a DOT certified examiner. And when you go there, you'll pay a fee. I think it was like $80 some odd, and they'll do your DOT physical. You'll need to bring your medical card and the long forms with you to school. You just take your medical card and your driver's license, birth certificate, that kind of stuff over to the DMV, Social Security card, to the DMV, so they can get you started and process through the CDL permit. So once I got my physical, then took my 3 tests for my CDL permit, got squared away, and then called my instructor back. Yes, I got my permit. I have my medical cards. I'm ready to go to school. Boom. She hooked me up, got assignment to go to school, got a class start date to go to school, and on my way, I was. So, when I was just talking about how long that you'll be at school, um, you know, here's the thing: you never know what's going to happen. So my recommendation, if you're going to go to this, if you're going to go to any CDL training, whether it's paid or unpaid, make sure that you have at least 2 to 3 months of all your bills covered. So make sure that that is the number one thing that you have covered, because some of these schools pay you and some of them only pay you a small stipend, maybe like $200 a week or maybe a month. I don't know. At the Swift Academy, you do not get paid for your training. Okay. And that's going to be something else I'm going to talk in another video about, as far as the overall experience and what to expect. But you will not get paid for your training. They are taking care of you. So you're not putting anything up front as far as your hotel fee and your school tuition, but at the same time you're not being paid. You don't get paid from Swift until you get on the mentor truck, and that's something I'll talk about later. So getting into this process was really interesting, but I got it all knocked out, and then I found myself in school. Now, when we talk about things that you're going to need, so when you go to school, so again, those 2 to 3 months worth of bills. And why I say the 2 to 3 months, here's my example. As I talked about in my first video when I talked about my DMV testing and why I had to leave and come back to finish out, I got injured. It's an old combat injury. I had to leave, get cleared from a doctor, and come back. So essentially, I was in training from November 11th until just last week, January 16th. So I went to school November 11th. I left on December 12th-ish because of my injury. I was gone for about 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. Came back after the new year, January 6th, and then I finished out 10 days later, January 16th. So as you can see, November to December was 1 month, and basically I was in January. So that was 3 months. Yes, I was home for a couple of weeks to recover and stuff, but basically 3 months. So 2 to 3 months worth of bills covered, right? Plus I was in between the holidays. So, you got to take into account those if you go throughout the holiday season too, because you're buying gifts and stuff like that. So took care of all of that. Your food, the only time that they pay for your food is let's say you're there for the Christmas holiday and you're not going home. The Richmond facility did take care of us. I can't speak for Christmas because I wasn't there, but Thanksgiving, they did take care of those who stayed behind for Thanksgiving. And then the first day of class, lunch was on them. After that day, everything else, as far as your food, any toiletries or things like that, is on you. I would bring clothes, hygiene items to last you, at least 2 months, and again, very important, make sure that your finances are covered. I can't say this enough, for 2 to 3 months, because I had people there that literally, in my classes and the classes after me, that literally quit their jobs, and they were running short on funds, and some of them were having problems making ends meet at home. So make sure before you go that you have those 2 to 3 months covered. I cannot stress that enough. It's easy if you're married or you're living with somebody and they're paying half the bills or something like that. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that those bills are covered, because you're not getting paid when you're at the Swift Academy. So when you go, the last thing I want to recommend, and this is when you talk to your recruiter and you get they're going to send you, once you're locked into the school date, they're going to send you a point of contact list, and it's going to have the senior instructor's name on it, your HR specialist there, maybe even some of the other instructors that are there, and it's going to have a breakdown of, what the fees are if you're picking up your CDL permit from this state and then testing in another state. They're going to have that information in there. What I would do is contact your HR specialist, because this is what happened to my class. When we got there, when we got to school, we all had our CDL permits and our DLT physicals and everything. They looked at every last single one of us. I think we started off with about 12 people, 13 people in our class. They looked at all of us and said, all of your physicals are no good. We're gonna take care of you. We're gonna pay for it. So Swift did take care of us, and we're gonna have to send you down to another facility, and you're gonna get your physicals done. So we went down to a place called Concentra. It's like an urgent care, and Swift has, at least at that facility, they had a contract with them, and they knocked out our physicals. And our HR specialist, Miss Debbie, she was great. She took all of our physicals and uploaded it into whatever DMV that you're from or that we were from, and we were taken care of. So I would call your HR specialist as soon as you get locked into the school and say, hey, I have my DLT physical. This is where I took it. Is this going to be accepted when I get to the school? Okay. And if they say yes, hey, great. If they say no, then ask them, hey, should I, more than likely, I would say they're going to tell you just to come down with what you have, and then they're going to take care of it. Or they're going to direct you to go to another physical, another place to get your physical, and they may take care of it. I can't speak for that part. They may take care of it. If there's a Concentra in the area, that seems to be the Swift facility of choice. Or again, they may just tell you to come down with what you have, and they'll take care of you from there. But the biggest thing is, once you get locked into class, contact your administrator, your HR administrator, and then find out what's the goings on when you get down there. Now, the other thing, again, we started with a class of about 12 to 13 in my original class. Within the first week, we were down to 6. A lot of it was based off of medical conditions, sleep apnea, that kind of stuff. Obesity was one or two, and then the biggest thing out of all of that, drugs. So be prepared to donate a urine sample. Be prepared to give a hair follicle sample. That's all I'm going to say. If you get down there and you pop out on a urinalysis or something comes up on your hair follicle sample, that's on you. I had a roommate that came down, and the day I met him, he was smoking marijuana, and I was like, really, dude? That's on you. And then maybe 2 or 3 weeks into the course, they called him back. They gave him another urinalysis test, and he was gone. I know for a fact that he went to another trucking company. I don't know how he did, but I know he got into another trucking company, at least for the school. I'm sure he is still going to receive a bill for whatever time that he was at the academy. So pick your poison. Do you want to smoke marijuana? Do you want to be on drugs? Or do you want to get through the training and not have to worry about paying back that $6,000 to $7,000 bill, or whatever they prorated it as for the time that you were there? So keep that into account too. I think that is pretty much it. I know this is a long video, but excuse me, for those who are new out there, I want to put out as much information as possible, based off of my time. And again, I just graduated January 16th of 2020. So I'm trying to put all this information as it is fresh in my head. But I am going to leave in the description my email address. If you want to contact me, contact me. Either you can leave comments here, or you can contact me on my email address, which again I'll put in the description section. But please, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe. It's going to help me out. And as I continue to go through the process, I'll put out more videos. and I'll continue to build off of this video into the time that I got into the school and kept moving forward. So this is your boy, the Baltimore Dark Knight. I am out of here.